Welcome to my session. This is 1 hour Drupal 8 theming, if you couldn't guess. Say 1 hour, it's not quite 1 hour, it's about 50 minutes, but we'll make up for time. My name is Chris Doherty. I'm a front-end developer at MediaCurrent. Been using Drupal 8 for about a month, and just trying to learn as much as I can for a client project that I have right now. And if you don't know, it went into beta this week, which is really exciting news. And so I encourage you all, if you haven't used Drupal 8 yet, to download it and play around with it. Just curious, how many in the group have actually used Drupal 8 already? Oh, good. So about half, maybe. Cool. So hopefully this is focused on theming, but hopefully you get something good out of this. There we go. So we're going to talk about a few things. Basic, the D8 structure, the D8 theme structure pertaining to a custom Drupal 8 theme. And then we're going to get into Twig, which is the new the new templating language for Drupal 8, which will replace the PHP template. And then finally, a live demo, which is making me a little nervous right now, but we'll get there. So again, as I said, I'm a designer. I studied graphic design in school and accidentally became a themer. And I say accidentally because I didn't set out to write code. I just wanted to learn how to do it so I could become a better designer. And it just sort of overtook me. And I wanted to learn more and become better at it. And so I sort of straddle both roles right now, but I have fallen in love with theming and front-end development. And so that's a little bit about me. I'm curious, how many themers or front-end developers or designers are? Oh, great. Okay, so about 75%. That's cool. So yeah, so like I said, I love design. I also love movies. And so one of my favorites is Pulp Fiction. How many in here have seen the movie Pulp Fiction? All right, if you have not, homework assignment, Pulp Fiction, and then download Drupal 8 beta. So 1 hour, I said, like I said, I think it's not quite 1 hour. I would not advise trying to build a theme in 1 hour. The point of the title was to encourage you to get your feet wet, to learn more about it. It's actually kind of fun to learn Twig. It's very flexible, and I would encourage you to get involved. If you're a project manager, do not estimate an hour time for building a new theme. That won't work. If you're a themer, don't tell your project manager you can do it in an hour. Again, that won't work. But it's really just a way to get you excited about theming in Drupal 8. So the core structure is kind of changed pretty radically from 7 to 8. One way to look at it is that it's sort of flattened, and if you go into your root of your Drupal 8 installation, you will see a themes and a modules folder, and that is not for the core theme and modules. That's actually for contrib and custom theme and modules. And then that's right in your root. So then also there's a core folder, and inside that is where the core theme and modules folders live. So it's nice. You don't have to drill down into Docker root sites, all themes. It's a lot cleaner, a little flatter, much easier to use. So the structure, the basic structure is fairly similar to D7 themes, but a couple notable differences. One is that there are two YAML files. One is the info.yaml, which is what sets up your entire theme structure. So you have, instead of the old .info file, you have now the YAML file. It's a different syntax. It's a different markup language. I tend to prefer it. I think it's a lot cleaner. So that's very, very key file there. In addition, there's a libraries YAML file that you can use for setting up JavaScript within your theme. And the theme name.theme is replacing the template.php, so you can put your custom functions in there. And then the rest of it is fairly straightforward. CSS, templates. I use Sass, and you don't have to, obviously. Image and JS, again, not necessary for a theme, but it's good to have. So I talked a little bit about the YAML file, and I'll just show you. This is the basic outline of what it might look like. So it should look fairly familiar if you remember the .info file. So you define the theme name. You define what you're defining, so it's a theme. The core is for Drupal 8, and you can put a description in there, just like the old D7. The engine is important, Twig, which is, like I said, the new templating engine. You could also put PHP Template, because D8 does have the PHP Template engine in the core. And then the rest is fairly straightforward. You have style sheets, and so you're defining a path to your style sheets. Regions, again, similar to .info, and libraries. One important thing to note about YAML is it's very tricky about spacing. So you need to set, for indents, you need to set these to 2 spaces. So just make sure, because it may not do what you want it to do if you have more than 2 spaces there. So just and then the libraries. This handles if you wanted to put custom JS into your theme. And then this is talking about the libraries, just what I spoke about, the JS. So you have a namespace, a version, and then a path to the JS. And then I also talked about the theme file. This, again, replaces the template.php, and this is where your functions go. And that leads us into Twig, which is really the biggest change from D7, D6 into D8. Is that it is a new templating engine, and it has completely different syntax. I love it. It's very, very flexible. It gives you a lot of new features that weren't available to you in PHP Template. It's really easy to read. It's nice because it separates you don't put functions in there. You're just going to put your mark. It's basically going to set your markup. And it's also, because it's it wasn't developed specifically for Drupal. It's been out in the wild for a while now. It's well documented, which hasn't always been the case for things in Drupal. So I encourage you to go to the website and check out Twig, and you can read about it and learn how it works and all the functions. We'll get into it in a little bit, but it's really worthwhile to actually go to the site and read through it and learn more about it. So there's 3 delimiters that you should know. One is to print. You put double curly brackets. For functions, to execute statements, it's a curly bracket with a % sign, and then you close it. And then for comments, it's curly bracket pound sign. So using this, you can do pretty much everything with Twig. There are different commands. Obviously, we'll get into that. But that's the first thing. So, as I said, you can print things. So variables, for example, are directly accessible to you in the Twig template file. You can use classes. You can drill down into classes to show attributes for a particular class. So, for example, in this example, it's showing you an ID with, you're drawing out one particular attribute from that ID, same for this class. Or alternatively, you could show a attribute. This would show you the full set of attributes. So remember, this is the print sign, the 2 curly brackets, and the attributes are printed there. So it's nice and clean. I think as long as you remember that the print is anything within the double curly brackets, you're good. So as you can see, this is printing out the content variable, which will show all the content in the page or whatever your node or whatever you happen to be printing here. And then there's a few functions actually I want to get to. One is conditional statements. So $sign inside a curly bracket will set you up for a statement. So you can say if and then have an argument here. And if it's true, anything in between the if and the end if will be handled. And then the same for loops. You can have a for next loop kind of structure. So you have an argument in this first set of curly brackets after the for, and then whatever it will be rendered within these two statements. One note about syntax too. In this, you might notice it's hard to see here, but there's actually one space in between the curly bracket and the variable there, and same with these statements after the $sign. There needs to be a space in between. So just something to keep in mind. And then this, in my mind, is one of the coolest functions in Twig, which is called the block and extends, and they sort of work together. Basically, block is a placeholder for content. So you can actually set up a, and I'll show this in the live demo, but you can get into a template file and set up a variable with blocks, or you can set up a placeholder in the template for a block, and then in another template you can use extends. And the way this works is this: I put this in another template, and then inside the two marks here, I would put the path to the template I want to extend. So if I have like a node PHP template, or node Twig template rather, I would put this in here, place holding it, and then I could put in a node article, for example, template, I could put the extends and then use the same block name, this variable that I define here. This can be whatever you want it to be, and I can extend it from one template into another. So I'll show how that works. I'm probably not explaining it too well, but I think getting into the code itself will help and hopefully help clear some things up. But I think this is really, really neat and very powerful, and it helps you to write code that doesn't repeat itself. So I'll show that to you again as we get further along. So I just wanted to just kind of just do a side-by-side comparison of Twig versus PHP Template. So as you can see here, the one on the left is PHP Template, and then on the right. So simple things like, notice how clean this is. Remember the print is in the double curly brackets. I don't have to put a print. I don't have to put, I can just put curly bracket with the variable inside it, and I know it's going to print that particular variable.
Is it possible for you to zoom in on that a little bit?
I don't. Oh, sure. I don't know that I can. Wait, maybe I can pull it up. Okay. Oh, okay, my bad. Is that better? No. All right, hold on one second. Let me, I think I have the screen grab I use for this.
Either that or just use Firefox and zoom in a little bit.
Oh, here we go. Sorry, this is really disorienting working on two screens. Maybe I have to escape out of this. So I can zoom in. Is this bigger or is that? Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, so the intent was just kind of show side by side. Again, this is PHP template here, and then this is Twig on the right. You know, you can see what I was talking about before about the spacing between the curly brackets and the statements or the variables. Yeah, I just on a very visceral level, I think it's much cleaner. It's a lot nicer to look at. It's easier to scan. There's an if statement in here, for example. Yeah, so if not page. I mean, it almost sounds like English versus PHP. If bracket, you know, exclamation point, $ page, colon. I mean, there's a lot less to remember. It's a lot cleaner. I think it reads better. So overall, yeah, I'm thrilled about it. Just purely for aesthetic reasons, I guess. So, getting back to the Pulp Fiction, you might make you feel like dancing. So, sorry, was that a stretch? Okay.
I feel like dancing.
You do, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. I'm not the only one. All right, so where are the Twig files, and how do I get to them, and how do I get started? Yeah, so in the core folder that I talked about in the first slide, there is a sorry, just close this. There is a modules folder, and then if you drill down into system templates, there are about 40 templates in there. Everything from page to links, covers some forums, fields, etc. So it's all there for you to override. So again, opening the briefcase, and this is what it looks like. So again, like this is what I was describing: a big folder full of all these Twig files. No more Temple FIPS, I guess as they call them. It's all HTML.twig. So you can take something like a page.html.twig and copy that into your theme folder and theme away and change it to your heart's extent. So let's go ahead and create a theme. So I'm gonna break away from the from this and show you a live demo. Second. Let me just get it set up here.
Royale with cheese.
I have this all open. All right. So I've gone ahead and created a custom theme for this, and so I'm just showing you the block page. This is the theme. It's called Winston Wolfe, after the character from the movie. And so I've set up some blocks, and my client he's already gone ahead and added content into some of these regions. And he's defined them so that some of them maybe don't make sense. We've got these different regions that top, content, bottom, and I need to add templates specifically, or add to the page template specifically for that. And this is just the just going to clear caches. A second. So this is the theme, and right now what it looks like in the folder is this. So this is the YAML file that we talked about. I have a YAML libraries file in there as well, and I'll just go ahead and open the YAML, and I'll pull up Sublime. And so, just to walk you through it again, we got the theme name. What is it? It's a Drupal 8 theme, the core version. One set of style sheets. If you wanted to add another one, you could just add another line. Remember the two spaces for indents. This is where the regions are defined. So that's the syntax there. And then this is defining where the JavaScript library that I'll be using is. So right now, there's not much in here. So I don't have any templates. There's no CSS. It's just the YAML file, but that is enough at this point to have a very, very basic, very stripped down theme. I do have a logo. The graphic designer, I guess, owed Mr. Winston Wolfe a favor, so he created a logo for free. But other than that, there's nothing in here. It's just completely stripped down. So with that, I will. I'm going to copy some files over. So I have. Here's my file folder. So I'm going to start by copying over just a basic page, HTML, Twig. I'm going to put that in templates. And this is just the, it's basic page TPL, but I modified it, and I'll show you how. So this, as you recall, is a variable with an attribute. The period indicates that. So I'm pulling the top region, which is defined in the YAML file, into this. And then also, similarly, in the bottom. So I've got these two newly defined regions, and I've taken out other regions that were in the default page template file. So that's one thing. So hopefully this. Actually, I think I have to clear caches. Yeah, I think every time, one thing you have to do is every time you add a new Twig file, you need to clear caches. So that changed because you can see we have a navigation that wasn't there, that was in a region that had been previously undefined. So just showing you how this can kind of build. And also, there's also footer text, which had not been there before because the region wasn't in the default page template. So then I will add my cursor. I've already created the style, so I've got a CSS file here, and I'll just go ahead and update that. I mean, it's nothing exciting, but looks like that. So we've got our page, we've got fonts, we've got the logo. Actually, the logo isn't showing up. I need to copy that over too. So I'm just going to put that in the root. And we've got our site. But one of the things I do want to show you is a node override with the block. So I'm copying this node template, Twig template, from the core node module folder. So when I open it up, actually, I'll just open it up here. I'll demonstrate how a block works. So I have defined a block here for, specifically I'm calling it for articles only. And so remember when I said this is like a placeholder? I'm creating a block, and I'm defining it as new content, and then end block. And that's all I'm doing. I'm not putting anything else in there. It's got a div in there and whatnot. Now what I want to do is put some code on, put some text onto an article. So I'm just going to, I've already created an article here. And I want to put some other text in place on this page. It's a different layout. It's a different node type. So I'm going to set it apart and make it a little different. So, 1 sec. So I'm copying this over. Again, I think it's easier to do this rather than trying to type this code in real time. I think it's easier to just copy and work on it this way. So this is the node-dash article.twig.html.twig file. It's very simple, right? 6 lines. The first line, this is what I spoke about before, it extends. And all this is saying is, I want to take the code that's in here and apply it to this particular template. So it's a node.html.twig. Pretty straightforward, right? Then, further down, it goes block. So I'm referencing the new content tag that's in the block tag here. So it knows exactly what I'm referring to. And I want to inject everything in between the first block and the end block tags. So I'm putting this in, new content. This will only appear on articles. Then we go into the theme. I clear caches again because I added a new template file. Cache is cleared. Refresh. Oh, all right. Content. Oh, here it is. My bad. I didn't scroll down far enough. I'm used to seeing this on a Retina display, and so it was cut off. So this is the new thing. So you can imagine the applications of this. You could put new regions into this one little template. I'll go back to the code, and change your layout pretty radically just using the block and extend. It's quite a powerful tool. Right now, it's not. I don't know if there's even best practices on how to use it. I mean, I think it's all still to be defined. But as you can see, there's quite a bit you can do with that.
When you're adding the code to the new content section, does it automatically override? For example, if you're adding something that's similar in the template, will it override the template stuff? Like in the referenced node HTML.twig file, will it override it?
Because this is in my theme file, so this is overriding what is the default node. So I could put a new block in here, or not. I shouldn't use the word block because that's one of the things about the syntax of using block. I think we're going to have to get away from block, but a new patch of code into the template, and I can override just the basic node template. So I can put, I can inject anything I want directly into that. The ideal thing about this is I'm picking a specific node type, an article, and copying that into only articles. So if I go to pages, it's not there. So and then I could alternatively take another create a node-page.html.twig and I could override that and change the output in that specifically only for pages that wouldn't affect the article content type, for example. So it's pretty cool. I think it's something that I want to even play around with more and just trying to figure out the limits of it, because like I said, it's nice that in this node article I'm not rewriting all the PHP code that is in the parent template file. It's very lean. It's much nicer. It's easier to debug if you have an issue. So that's it. I figured, I wanted to leave some time for questions. If you all have any questions, or
yeah, I've got one on back on that block.
yeah.
Where are you actually outputting the blocks? So in node.html.twig, so where you're defining block new content. Where is that? Is it just being output wherever it's defined? Where is it actually?
So I'm right. So this is where I'm actually naming a block and calling it new content. In this particular template, I'm referring back to the node.html.twig, and this is where I'm defining it. Right. I'm saying this block contains this content, and I'm gonna inject it from only on articles into this.
And then can you go back to the node?
Yeah.
Or the regular one? It just seems weird because the syntax is the same in both places. It's essentially you're just defining it. You're saying block new content and block. Why in one template is it actually outputting it, and then the other one, the same syntax, simply defines it? I guess is my question.
I think it's only because of the presence of the extend. Okay. Yeah. So the extend and block work together. Yeah. 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 That is. Yeah. I didn't think about that. It is sort of because it's exactly the same. Yeah.
So the only difference is really just the extend and the block tag there.
Yeah.
There's an Amsterdam video with Morton doing this exact thing, except he defines it first in the .twig file, the first .twig file, and then modifies it in the second.
Okay.
So it inherits
the default value for it?
Yeah, it can change it basically because it's extending it.
Yeah.
So you can give it kind of a default and then maybe throw a new class on it.
Yeah. That's powerful.
Oh, kind of like Sass extend in a way.
I'll have to check that out. Wow. Any other questions or things you want to look at?
So in the templates setup,
yes.
There's no longer an option to tell it to rebuild the templates on every page load, or do you have to do that manually now? Because I know she said every time you added it, you have to clear the cache.
Yeah, my experience, every time I've added a new template to the theme, I've had to clear the cache.
That's a Zen option that's popular amongst Drupal themes, but it's not necessarily core.
Oh, okay, thanks.
The little checkbox to rebuild the page cache.
Oh, okay. Is that on the
That's Drupal 7.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So what did you base this theme off of? Did you just build it straight raw?
This is completely raw. Like I said, if I go back to this, I started out only with the YAML file and started there. So I really didn't want to do a real live demo just because I was chicken. So I just wanted to show you how I went about it. So I started with the YAML file, defined, okay, this template, these regions, CSS will live here, and then I'm just going to put it all together and show you how it works. But like I said, all you need to get started is a folder in your themes folder within root, and that info.yaml file.
Quick comment question. Have you heard of the Classy theme?
No.
That just got committed?
I haven't heard of
to
that.
Drupal 8? Okay, so what they did, this was news in Amsterdam. What they did was they took out all of the core classes that we normally would see Drupal core coming with, and just completely ripped everything out and put it in a core theme called Classy.
Okay.
And Bartik and 7 extend Classy.
Huh.
So now you get a truly markup-free output from Drupal core.
Wow.
So I'm guessing you're not running the latest beta version.
I did. I did download.
So I'm not sure how it's actually functioning. I haven't tried it myself, but I think you'll have to extend Classy.
Interesting.
to get all of the standard Drupal-y things like the tabs to look like tabs.
Huh. Okay. I'll check that out. Yeah. I mean, this is basically it's all based on what's in the templates in core. But yeah, I haven't looked at. So you're saying
So like Bartik now is based on this theme called Classy, which I just thought was why.
Oh wait, I am in core. My bad. For some reason I thought I was in root. Got it. All right. So within the I'm pretty sure this should be the latest.
Why would they do that?
I think it's up towards the top.
Up towards the top?
Info.yaml maybe would say something.
One sec. Let me just pull this over so you can all see it.
No. In there. What was the reasoning for doing it?
It's Morton's thing. He was really pushing so that core wouldn't have classes by default. So there's 0 classes being added to the body tag, to anything.
I like that.
Yeah, well it's very, very, very clean.
I don't have to worry about
like a
finding
headless
somebody else's
implementation,
CSS.
that kind of thing. Maybe Drupal doesn't output HTML for you.
But I have one question about some of the other base themes. Like, what's the status of maybe Zen? I know for us in MediaKernel we use Omega. What's the status of that in Drupal 8?
So there is a version. There is a release of Omega in Drupal 8. For whatever reason, when I started doing my research,
who did it?
yeah, I can't. Yeah, there was sort of a schism between the developers, and I'm not sure exactly. I know that one person owns Omega now, and then the other one has a different theme, but I haven't followed the other one. I had trouble installing Omega. I couldn't get it to work right for some reason, but it's there. I don't know. Does anyone know if Zen is available for D8? I don't.
The Omega module page says that Chimeris is the one behind the 8.
Oh, okay.
See the forest?
He's the original guy.
He's the original, right?
Yeah, I know there was.
He's the I love settings.
Yeah.
Every setting box you can possibly.
Not so good.
Yeah. So
Hey, don't hit on the setting boxes.
personally, I'm thinking long term maybe to not go the sub theme route and to follow, just what I've shown you and create custom themes using my own stuff. Just because I find as much as I like Omega, I find myself overwriting a lot of stuff. Yeah. And I this is I can. So my SAS, I can show you I have my breakpoint set up. This is really quick and dirty, but it's so accessible now. I think that I can really get stuff done pretty quickly, and the code is clean. I think. It's not as clean as what you're describing, which I want to research more. But yeah, I think this might be the way to go.
So obviously with that theme, you're not, with 8, there's no page manager or anything yet at all, so you probably place most of your blocks. Would you place them with code right now, or would you actually just use the standard block placement UI?
Yeah, even in this example that I showed, I am using blocks. So the answer is, for right now, I guess I would. I don't know where context is or any of those other modules. I didn't delve too deeply, but so for example, this footer text and navigation I placed as blocks right now. But yeah, eventually, obviously, those modules will catch up. But I think for right now, I just use the block admin. But I don't know. Does anyone know about context or page manager or any of those others where they are in D8? I don't myself.
I do know that blocks are fieldable in Drupal 8, which is really cool. And the menu, like that main navigation, that has a Twig template. which actually lets you go in and change the classes in the Twig template. Whereas before, like Drupal 7, that's like 6 different hook files. You're implementing core code that you're changing a little bit, and it's very messy.
Yeah, and there is the breakpoints module is in core now, which you're talking about this menu, right? On the.
I was talking like the navigation menu for your website.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, gotcha.
To, like, actually change the class.
Oh, right on. Okay, yeah. I mean, but this is using the core breakpoint menu, I believe, because it's right out of the box. This is responsive. You can see. So, but I couldn't figure out. I don't know if anyone knows. I'm not used the breakpoints menu. I put my breakpoints in the CSS, but I couldn't figure out how to use it with my theme to get it working with my theme. It seems like it's made to work with the picture module, and I wasn't sure about that.
Yeah, that's right. The breakpoints module doesn't really control the responsive breakpoints like CSS does.
Right.
It's strictly for managing the image styles.
Okay, cool. But I think I did read that it's what helps set the breakpoints for the menu, but I'm not positive about that. So.
Come to my session at 4 or 10.
All right.
It's a good one.
I will.
Last 2 weeks ago, going back again.
Oh yeah. All right.
Just a heads up, I looked up the classy commit. It looks like it was committed the day after beta 1.
Okay. Cool. All right.
You're gonna be on dev.
I know. Yeah. I was sweating it out here looking for that. Exactly.
By the way, there doesn't look like there's a Drupal 8 version of context, so I don't know if that's a bad omen or not.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know. I feel like
Maybe they just improved blocks so much.
Blocks have to be very vastly improved.
Yes,
Entities, there's a lot more extensibility there.
yeah.
So you'll be able to use you'll be able to use views contextual filters with blocks now, right? Pretty much?
Yeah.
Pretty sure if you see blocks.
Oh yeah.
Anyone else have a question?
Were there any huge things that changed in 8 that we should be aware of? Like, were there any big changes that maybe we haven't heard of that you might not? I personally haven't touched it, so someone who's been on it for a month might be able to tell me more about what I should expect to be super changed.
Yeah. From theming, it's all about Twig. I mean, it's a completely new language. I would say that. In terms of, I haven't really dug around in modules and other stuff too much, but from the front end perspective, yeah, it's all the Twig.
What about, I don't know if it's a part of PHP Template or not, like the pre-process function and all that stuff, is that reworked? Is that different now?
Yeah, I haven't delved too far into doing anything with that, but it would be in the .theme file, which is in your, I'll show you. I'll go back to the slide, but yeah, there's a template.theme, or I think it's called, template.theme, and that's where you do the pre-process function.
As far as the pre-processing goes, that's part of a big part of moving to Twig. You can't do any of that processing in the template file anymore. It's got to be pre-processed.
It's got to be done.
Yeah. Don't expect to be able to run encode in the template at all. Ever.
Yeah.
So you can't even do an if?
Well, the if, like basic things like the if and the loop, so you can actually iterate through things. That's obviously built into Twig, and he went over that a little bit. But as far as doing really impressive PHP things, and don't count on that at all unless you can shove it into a pre-processing.
There's something called Mink too that lets you export variables that are in scope in the Twig file, so you can kind of see what you have to work with.
Yeah, there's a dump function. Also, I haven't played around with it yet, but you can put that 2 curly brackets space dump space 2 curly brackets, and you can output the variables that are available to you in that particular template, which is kind of nice. So yeah, there are conditionals and for next type of loops in Twig also. Yeah, as far as I know, like DPM and all that stuff is gone, I think.
Yeah, there's a setting in one of the YAML files that you can set true for the core, and it'll output for every region what Twig file produces that. Oh. And it'll output other more granular files that it'll look for in your theme folder. So you can override that. I think it shows up with the HTML code. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you all very much. Appreciate it.